We examine Joan of Arc's role in the Hundred Years' War. The Hundred Years' War was not going well for the French. English longbows and cannons had devastated French soldiers at Agincourt, Crécy, and Poitiers. The war gave us rumored and questionable pop cultural contributions like playing cards or sandwiches, and the often cited two-finger British salute to taunt the French who would capture British archers. The English were not winning alone, however. They were using French mercenaries from Burgundy and other northern regions to attack French villages and massacre the villagers. These same villages had already been devastated by hundreds of years of Viking attacks and the Black Plague, and now they had to survive the violence of their neighbors. In one of those French villages, Domremy, there was a girl named Joan. She had grown up the daughter of a farmer and a devoutly Catholic mother. She was illiterate and, according to many accounts, severely disciplined by her father. Her village had witnessed one of the Burgundian attacks and the death of many of the people. During her childhood, the Hundred Years' War had entered a moment where King Henry V and VI were ruling both Britain and France, as the supposed French king Charles Valois had been disinherited due to the rumor that he was illegitimate. England had its power centered in northern France. When Joan was 13 or 14 years old, she claimed to have heard the voices of angels telling her that God wanted a victory for France and that she was supposed to lead it. The angels told her that Charles was also the rightful king. Joan claimed to be guided by the voice of Archangel Michael in her decisions, one of which was to take a vow of chastity at 16. She then refused an arranged marriage by her father and rode off to gain audience with Charles Valois. She was introduced in court and turned away as a silly girl. She cut her hair, put on men's clothes, and went to see the prince herself. Charles was inspired by something that she said in a private audience and gave her army command to rescue the besieged French fortress at Orléans. She put on white armor and mounted a white horse and headed into combat. Before she broke the siege at Orléans, she wrote a series of letters to warn the enemy of her support from God, and then ran the Anglo-Burgundian army into the Loire River. She then led a march to Reims to crown Charles, victory in town upon town, getting Charles his crown in 1429. Joan wanted to push on to take Paris, but at this point Charles was being advised that Joan was outshining him, and he began to act in jealousy. Her and her armies failed the assault at Paris, and Charles sent her to attack Campania, knowing it was virtual suicide. Sure enough, Joan was captured. Charles did very little, if anything, to free Joan, especially after she was accused of 70 charges, which included witchcraft and gender confusion. He didn't want to be tied to that. She sat in prison for a year, was starved and tortured until she finally just confessed to end the pain. At this point, it's believed that Joan was beaten and raped. In defiance, she put back on her men's clothes and was sentenced to death. At 19 years old, she was burned at the stake.